I'm wondering how many adoptees enjoy haunted houses. Like, is that a thing? Because I know I hate it, and I know you hate them.
Do you hate haunted houses?
So, like, it's a question that I've had during this season of time is, like, because I'll avoid that like the plague.
Yeah.
But I would have gone under peer pressure in, like, high school or something, right? Like, I would have gone to the haunted house, and I would have hated being in the haunted house, and I would have hated all of my friends for pressuring me into going to the haunted house.
Right.
And then I would have not spoken to any of them or anyone for probably the month of November.
So happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome back to Yes, I'm Adopted. Don't make it weird. Do you hate haunted houses? Or do you like being scared like one of those weird people? I don't get it.
It seems weird. Like, it just seems
weird.
like a weird thing to be like, man,
weird, man,
I would
like,
love to be just frightened today.
I don't get it. I don't get it. So, welcome back. Thank you guys for joining us. Today we are going to be kind of diving into more of the personal realm of us, of the two of us. We're going to be talking about some quirks that we have. We're going to let you judge to see whether it's adoption related or if we're just freaks. Yeah, we're gonna get right into this. We're really excited about this because we've been talking a lot lately about some, I guess, different personality quirks that adoptees have.
Sure.
You know, we've talked about the hypervigilance. We're always aware of absolutely everything.
Right.
That's why adoptees or orphans make the best spies. You know, just because we're always looking. We've talked about the chameleon effect. You know, like, we're really good at just blending in with our surroundings. People, if we don't want them to know we're there, they won't know. They'll be like, oh, did you show up at that party? Yeah, I was there the whole time. I arrived early and was the last one to leave. Oh, I didn't see you. Yep.
It's funny because that reminds me of an annoying quirk that I have, which is I really have to be acknowledged before I leave a place. Like I want to say, oh, I don't care, whatever. Nobody's gonna. It doesn't matter if anybody notices whether I came or went or any of that kind of stuff. But then, like, this was huge for me in high school. I remember being annoyed that I did it, and I remember thinking it's annoying that I do this, but I would have to go around and make sure everybody just acknowledged that I was leaving. Hey, I'm taking off. Hey, I'm leaving. They're like, okay, we don't, okay.
What do you want?
Why are you telling us this? Like, why are you, like, it's weird.
See, and I know you're like this too, and so I'm going to say it for both of us. We don't like going places, but we want to be invited.
That's true. It's like I want to be invited so I can say no.
Right. Is that like an adoptee thing? Or is that just like an introverted thing?
It's a really, like...
is it just a really douchey thing?
It's a really, like... I mean, I've been told by people that love me that that's about the douchiest thing I've ever said.
Your wife has said that
and
to you.
She said that to me the first time I think I ever said that. I mean, it's true, right? Like, that's a really douchey... I don't want to participate.
Right. I don't want to go.
But I want you to invite me to participate so that I can tell you that I don't want to go.
Right? Oh, it's terrible.
Is that, I mean, again, is that something that other people do, or is that just local to us?
Is it adoptees? Is it you or adoptive parents? Is that your kid? Do they just want to sit at home but really want to be invited to that thing? You guys should just invite them. Just be like, right? Invite all the adoptees.
Like, I really want a date to homecoming, but I also don't want to go at all.
Yep. That was me. That was literally me in high school. I really wanted a date to homecoming, but I did not want to go. And my now wife made me go. Oh, yeah. So there we go.
Oh my gosh. I feel so bad for anybody that ever went to a high school dance with me.
So let's talk about another one, Davo. Okay. Let's talk about your OCD tendencies.
Let's talk about my OCD tendencies.
What kind of weird things do you do?
I have so many.
It's interesting sharing an office space with him. I did not know a lot of this stuff, like 4 or 5 years ago when we started going into business together, and a lot of the stuff came out, and I'm like, what is happening?
How long have you been doing that? Like, what's wrong with you?
What's going
Like,
on?
I've got a lot of the standard kind of OCD tendencies. Like, I'm somebody that has to lock and relock the door like several times just to make sure that it's really
It's actually locked.
Like, I'm the kind of guy that, like, if I have even an inkling of a doubt that I check the door before I go to bed, I will get up after being almost asleep to go down into and check the front door and make sure it's locked again. And it's not like I have any reason to believe that anything would ever happen even if I left it unlocked. There have been days when we've accidentally left our keys in the keyhole and then gone to sleep, but from my perspective, the door was locked. And then in the morning, I would open it to go out the door and the keys would be in there. And I'd be like, yeah. You know? So, like, I have a lot of those tendencies where it's, like, control and a belief that my memory is maybe not serving me the way that it should.
Right.
I also have really weird ones. So,
Yeah.
like, in high school and college, if you had picked up any book that I read in high school and college, you would see check marks at the end of literally every paragraph and little dashes in the corners because I wanted to be sure that I'd read in case I had to prove it someday, I guess, to somebody that I'd read this book.
Oh man, I should have done that and just said, "Oh yeah, I did that. I read it."
And here you go, right? But that includes for me like copyright information and
Dude,
all of the index at the back. Like when I read a book cover to cover, and this is every book I read it literally cover to cover. I read everything that's in there. And now that's morphed into a thing where I keep spreadsheets of the number of lines per paragraph in every book that I've ever read, at least over the last 6 years, that are color coded.
Yes, they are.
And if you look at that, you're like, that's insane. And I look at that and I say, that's insane. Why do I do that? But I can't stop. I think I could stop, but at this point it actually is really useful to me to be able to have something that motivates me to read more or whatever, but it's like, what kind of crazy person has thousands upon thousands of grids?
Dots! They're like they're squares! They're little colored squares, guys! Like, I walk in there and I see him like reading, he'll get through a part and then put another one in. I'm like, what are you doing? I remember the first time I saw that. I was so concerned.
Don't worry about it.
I was so concerned.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's just, some of the several OCD tendencies I have. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's habitual that, like, if I ever put on my left shoe first, it ruins my day. Like, I can't.
Okay, now I have to think, what shoe do I put on
I can't
first?
Do it, right?
Do I have a routine?
It's always the same one. But you never think about it. But if you did it the other way, you'd freak out.
Oh, gosh.
I think you would anyway.
Now I have to think about this.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt my brain.
Just saying.
You're a jerk.
So, like, I know that it's a control issue, right? So, like, most adoptees that I know have some sort of control issue.
No, I got none.
But that's kind of the extreme personal end of it.
Right.
And then there's, like, the extreme relational end of it. And I think that's probably what affects most of us.
Right.
Like,
I
don't know. Like, what are your relational control issues? Tell the internet.
you want me to just out how okay.
Yeah. How did you screw up your relationships in the past?
Oh man, I've said this before. I am quite open about this. I can be very charismatic. I am not naturally charismatic, but I know how to turn it on, right? That chameleon tendency, like, I can kick it on. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm around charismatic people, I'm like, oh yeah, like all nice and big. And so I'm really good at making people feel like they are a part of my inner circle. Like, we are the bestest of best friends. I will give you a kidney if you need it. Whereas in my mind, all I'm thinking of is, oh, how do I go home? I'm so tired. I need a nap now.
The more they like me, the sooner they'll let me leave.
Yeah, I guess. And so that has actually, it's been interesting in my relationships because I don't let things go past surface level a lot of the times.
Sure.
because I feel like if they're, they are close to me, then I either have to tell them a bunch of stuff, or I have to learn a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
And both of those are kind of exhausting to me. I am not a great people person. And again, I am outing myself right now to you, the internet full of people. I am not a good people person.
Which is funny because if they've ever met us,
right?
like the people that have met us in person at various events and stuff
Right.
like that, like they expect, I think, more out of you.
Yes, they do.
Which is hilarious.
But they don't get it.
But they don't get it. Because in person, I'm the one that does all of our networking.
Yeah.
I hate.
You're the talker. You're the schmoozer. You hang out with people. Like, but you have a higher tolerance for people.
But I do have a higher
than
tolerance.
I do.
That's true.
I always use the analogy, like, is your glass half empty, glass half full thing. Like, especially when it comes to people. Somebody has stabbed the bottom of my glass. And it's just constantly leaking.
They broke it.
And so my tolerance for people is constantly leaking. You're welcome.
And you think, like, I know there's a lot of people like that, but is that
I don't know.
made more extreme by the fact that it's an adoption issue? Do
Right.
you think it's like
I think it was at first.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to let people into who I was because there was a lot of emotional things that I was dealing with.
Sure.
And so I did not want to be that guy. I never wanted to seem weak as a kid, which is why I became a bully for a while, because I did not want to seem weak. And so, I was always putting on this front, and I never wanted to let people in because as soon as they were in my mind, and they found out who I really was, I thought that they would not like me anymore. And so I just pushed them away instead. I was just like, no, forget you. I hate your guts. Get out of here, you stupid person. And I have to not do that now. Sometimes I want to do that.
You're getting better.
Yeah, I am getting better.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to genuinely enjoy people.
Yeah.
And so there's that journey. It only took me like 30 years.
There you go.
But, like when I was younger and I did not understand why I was doing this stuff, like looking back on it, it's like, yeah, I did not want to seem weak. And so I just put on this front and I did not want people to get in.
Yeah.
And it is hard. The parents out there, it's very hard to break that, to break that cycle. So if you start seeing that in your kids, maybe start being preemptive about a couple things, so that way they don't turn out like me.
Short run.
Yeah.
Long run might be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that reminds me, okay, so, like, there's this strange dichotomy with a lot of adoptees where we want so badly to fit into groups.
Yes.
But we also hate
I don't want to be in groups.
being in groups. And we hate, like, especially the pressure to go and do things with groups. Right? Like, I remember there were so many instances in my growing up where, like, the peer pressure to go and do the thing, right? To go and I don't know, wander through the area you're not supposed to be, or, like, all of these things that probably were just on the edge of, like, not okay, but that were probably still fine because you're in high school and all your friends are doing it and you want so badly to be with your friends, but it's really, and it's not because I had any moral objection to the thing, it was because they told me I should.
Right.
And so I hated the thing, right? And I think there was one time, this is really embarrassing if I think about it now, but, like, there was one time in high school, I think it was maybe my junior year, where I gave in, and then I pitched a fit like a 2-year-old.
Because you did the thing that they
because
told
we were
you to do.
doing the thing and we were driving around and was doing all, I don't know what it was. It was a bunch of kids that I knew and it was like whatever. And then, like, I don't know, I was so dramatic about it. I remember, like, they'd stopped the car for something and I got out and yelled at everybody. It's just like, what? Why are we doing this? And why did you make me come here? And blah blah. I'm walking home. I didn't know where I was. And then some friends found me later and they took me home, and it's like, this is the most embarrassing moment of my entire life. And all of this could have been saved by just not going anywhere.
Right.
Like,
Right.
And how stupid is this?
Yep.
But I mean, that's the turmoil that's happening inside so many adopted people that I know.
Yes.
It's like, good Lord, I want to be part of this so badly.
We want to be included.
But whenever I go, I hate it.
Yeah.
So
again,
what do we do?
Is that an adoptee thing? Is that an introvert thing? Like, one of the other things for me, I hate entertaining people. I hate having to feel like I have to entertain somebody.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy silence or even awkward silence. Like when people come over to hang out at our place, I am so okay with us not saying a word to each other. So okay with that.
Yeah.
But then there are some people that will come, that they feel like they deserve to be entertained, or that's why they're coming over to learn about stuff. And I'm just like, I don't have the wherewithal for this. Like, let's hang out in close proximity, and that's good enough.
Right. Yeah. But
That's
like,
here.
I think when I first moved here to Michigan, I had a buddy come visit me from Colorado, and we're good friends. But when he was here, I never had this issue when we were in Colorado. But as soon as I had moved and he came to visit, I felt like I needed to plan every activities and stuff. Right? And that's not what his expectation was at all. But that's what I thought. Like, he's here to visit me. We have to have, things to do.
Yup.
And whatever. And really, we didn't.
Right.
But because of that perceived pressure, I hated the weekend.
Yes! Exactly. That's why I don't do things. If you are my friend and you are watching out there and you're like, why doesn't Brett ever hang out with me? That's why. That's why I don't do things.
Because you won't just sit awkwardly in silence.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the places that you want to go to do things, because I'll just pitch a fit, and I don't want to have to plan things for us. What do you want from me? It makes us sound like a terrible human being.
It does a little bit. I mean, and this is a thing that's definitely gotten better.
Yes, it has.
Over the years, I'm at a point now where, I can go out and do social things, maybe 2 nights a week. Right? And I did them already. And there's one more tonight, and I'm really upset about it. We're going to do it because it's for the kids.
Right.
But
do it for the kids.
For the most part, I would never do 3 things in 3 nights in 1 week. But now I'm at a point where I'll do 2 and feel okay about it. There's so many weird social quirks with us, and we think they're adoption related.
We hope they are. Please tell us.
So if that's something that you deal with as an adoptee, or you see in an adoptee in your life, throw a GIF about it in the comments below.
Put it down there.
Or write a limerick would be good too.
Tell us some of the weird quirks that you guys do as well. Like some of the things you thought, man, I thought that was just me. Like, does this hit home to you? Or again, we just freaks and just terrible people.
It totally just told all of you.
Just terrible people.
Yeah.
So please validate our feelings by putting it in the comments down below. You can also validate our feelings by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and making sure that you guys go to yesimmadopted.com in order to see all the other cool stuff that we have. Check out the resource and merch page and the curriculum that we have out. Also, I just heard, we are coming out with other lessons.
This just in.
I heard it before I did this, though, so I was like, wait a second, I have to confirm.
You don't have a...
Producer?
You don't have an earbud.
Is that true?
There's nobody over there.
So we are coming out with other lessons, additional lessons. We are coming out with 6 more in the month of November. That's going to be supplementary?
Sure.
That's the word.
Yeah.
They're going to be add-ons. Free of charge to the course out there already. So if you already purchased the course, fret not. You do not have to pay for this additional content. It's going to be included in it. And if you are not a part of the course yet, make sure that you guys go sign up in the link above, or if you're watching on YouTube, down below. And that's it. And it is Halloween, so we're going to go out on a spooky, spectacular limerick.
Okay, go. Ta-da!